Hello and welcome back to art class. This week we're going to be putting together the mosaic. Last week we got the drawing done, we got the strips cut, so today is kind of the assembly day. You are going to need a few things. Obviously you need the drawing, you need the strips, you're going to need a pair of scissors, and you're going to want some glue. Now this part will take a while, right? So make sure you have a little bit of time to do it. And please remember a phrase that all the kids should know. It's called ... not a lot. That has to do with glue. We want to just use one dot of glue per piece that we glue on so that it doesn't get messy or gluey. We don't want to put dots randomly in place, because if we just randomly put dots, the spacing might be off and then you have glue sitting where there's nothing sticking down, and then it becomes a gluey mess. Okay, I want to give you a quick view of where we're headed. This is the one I completed a little bit earlier, and it kind of, again, looks like a broken picture, and that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, our focus right now, we're going to be on the orange pieces. Okay, I generally like to grab maybe two, because you're doing this at home, you can do this a little bit neater than you could do it at school. You could grab, let's do two split pieces at a time. And you're going to want to cut this basic shape. You want to cut squares out of this strip here. So all you're going to do is, if you notice, that's about a square. So I cut it. And I make another square, cut it. There's another square. That's a square. Now if I cut way down here, that's a big rectangle. That doesn't count. We want squares. Squares are the basic shape that works really well for most mosaics. All right, here we go. So I got a little pile to work with. Now, the way I start out, I'm gonna clean the tip of my glue here. The glue. Take a piece, just put a dot of glue, one dot, not a lot, and I'm going to glue it near the side of where I want to go. Count for about 5 seconds. The next one. Now when I put the next piece down, I don't want to actually have it touching. I want it close. I want to see a little white line between the two pieces. And then we're going to slowly fill this up. Now you're going to see a problem that comes up real fast after I almost put it on the wrong side. After I put this piece on. Okay, now here's where the problem comes up. This piece, and none of my pieces will fit in this corner here. That is way too small. So there's a second shape that I like to use sometimes. And what I do is, let's see which one. I will actually cut these into two triangles. So I'll cut from corner to corner, like that, into two triangles. And then I'll figure out which way does this triangle fit best, and I'll stick it in there. So I think it fits best, like that. So squares and triangles. And every once in a while, you might have a small space where a triangle or a square doesn't really work. The third and final shape that I use is a skinny rectangle. I don't use these too often, but they are kind of handy. Like right here, if I put it, it would line up really good right there, kind of even that out. So that might be a place that I put a little rectangle. Okay, so squares, triangles, rectangles. And you should have more than enough orange strips to actually do this assignment. Okay? As long as you don't sneeze and blow them everywhere. I've seen students do that, so just be careful. Okay? I'm gonna speed this up and start to fill this in, then we'll talk about the last two areas. Okay, so you can watch me do it in fast forward. Little tip, Once you got good at figuring out where things are gonna go, what I sometimes do is lay out some pieces that I know I can use, and I will actually just put a small dot, and you gotta be careful of that because they wanna move. Small dot on each of them so I can pick them up a little bit faster. Again, this is something that's easier to do at home than it is at school, because with other people bumping around you, it doesn't work as well. But at home, there's less people usually. Okay, so you can see that I have my pumpkin part done. You can see that I did have to do a little trimming for some small rectangles and cutting off a corner here or two just to make sure that it fit okay. And little adjustments are okay. It's what you're supposed to do. You will or should end up with some extra pieces. So I have some extra pieces floating around, and that is totally normal. Okay. Next, I would like you to grab the yellow. And the yellow is done pretty much the same way, except you're gonna don't have the pre-made strips. So now this is gonna be your job. Your parents helped out with the strips before, but I want you to make yourself a couple of your own strips. We probably wanna start out with 3 strips. Okay, 3 strips. And again, let's start off with squares. You should probably be able to get like 3 squares out of your strips there. Okay, and you have the same deal. You can use triangles, squares, and rectangles. Now, what I'm gonna do before I go any further though, I wanna make it look not just like a happy thing, but I'm gonna have like a little tooth right there. So I'm gonna take one of my extra squares from orange. I'm gonna add it right here. So now he looks like he's got a tooth hanging down. Now you don't have to do that. I find it kind of cute to do. And then I'm going to take my pieces and I'm going to fill this in. Now, will you have to maybe trim them a little bit to make them fit? Yeah, that's normal. Okay, so just take your time, leave a little bit of spacing. And then the same thing for the eyes. What I do for the eyes is sometimes I'll take a big piece, the biggest one I got, and see if I can get 2 triangles to actually do the job. All right, so there's mine. And then the same thing for the brown. We're filling that in. Okay, so just cut a couple strips. These ones I'm going to make into smaller pieces because that's a really small shape. So there we go. So I'm going to use these smaller ones. Gotta be careful with the amount of glue though. Remember, dot, dot, not a lot still. Okay, so it's gonna take you a bit of time to do this, so don't think it's gonna be something that's gonna be really quick. And your hands will probably get a little sticky. You can rub the glue off and then go wash your hands. The glue's not gonna hurt your hands any. Okay, and it is okay, like let's say you got half of it done and then you come back to it, that's okay too. You know, just make sure when you take your final picture, you send it to me once you're completed with the whole thing. Okay, so this might take you, you know, let it dry half a day or something like that and then come back to it, just whatever's convenient for you guys. So when you're done, snap a photo just like before, upload it, and I will see you next week.